Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into an important and sensitive topic that continues to spark debates across South Africa and the wider region. We will be looking at the influx of foreign nationals and why it has become such a pressing human rights challenge for the region. Please watch till the end so that you can see the sources and try to verify the news for yourself. And before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because we bring you these deep and real conversations that matter for our communities. Now, the movement of people across borders has always been part of human history. Whether for trade, for work, or for safety, people will always seek opportunities and survival where they can find it. But in recent years, South Africa in particular has seen a significant influx of foreign nationals from neighboring countries like Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Malawi, and beyond. This has created a mix of opportunities and challenges, sparking political debates, protests, and human rights conversations. To start with, many of these migrants are not just coming here for fun or adventure. A lot of them are escaping tough conditions back home. Zimbabwe, for example, has faced years of economic difficulties, high unemployment, and food shortages. For many Zimbabweans, crossing into South Africa, whether legally or illegally, feels like the only chance to survive and support their families. Similarly, Mozambicans have crossed over due to both economic pressures and natural disasters. Malawians, too, often come in search of work, especially in farming, construction, and domestic work. Now, here in South Africa, this influx is sometimes viewed with mixed emotions. On one hand, migrants bring skills, labor, and even cultural diversity that can enrich our communities. On the other hand, many locals feel the pressure when it comes to limited jobs, healthcare, and housing. For instance, in some areas, clinics are overwhelmed because they have to serve both South Africans and foreign nationals. Schools in certain communities have also seen rising enrollments because of children who arrive with their families from outside. This has created a situation where frustrations are growing, and movements like Operation Jujula have emerged. Some citizens believe that migrants are taking jobs that should belong to South Africans, while others argue that foreign workers are often exploited and paid less, which creates unfair competition in the job market. At the same time, employers sometimes prefer hiring migrants because they are willing to work under difficult conditions. This creates a cycle of resentment between locals and foreigners. But beyond the economics, there is also the human rights aspect. According to international law, people have the right to seek asylum if they are fleeing persecution, violence, or life-threatening conditions. South Africa, being a member of the United Nations and the African Union, is bound by certain obligations to protect refugees and asylum seekers. But in practice, the system is struggling. Refugee offices are overwhelmed, and many people wait years just to have their applications processed. This forces some migrants to live in limbo, without proper documents, making them vulnerable to exploitation, abuse, and even arrest. Another key issue is that migrants often live in very poor conditions, especially those who cross the border illegally. Many stay in overcrowded areas, without access to proper sanitation or safety. This not only puts their own health at risk but can also strain already struggling local communities. Crime sometimes becomes part of the narrative as well, though it is important to note that not all crime is linked to foreign nationals. But because some high-profile cases involve undocumented migrants, the perception is often amplified. South Africa is not alone in this struggle. Across the African continent, countries are facing similar pressures. From West Africa to East Africa, migration remains a regional human rights challenge. For example, in places like Libya, migrants face human trafficking and dangerous journeys as they try to cross into Europe. In southern Africa, countries like Botswana and Namibia are also feeling the effects of migration. It shows us that this is not just a South African issue, but part of a bigger continental problem that requires cooperation and understanding. One of the main solutions often discussed is regional cooperation. Countries in SADC, the Southern African Development Community, need to work more closely to address the root causes of migration. If people are leaving their home countries because of poverty, unemployment, or instability, then the solution should start there. If Zimbabwe's economy improves, fewer people will feel the need to cross into South Africa. If Malawi has better job creation, then its youth may not risk traveling hundreds of kilometers to find work. But let's also not forget that migrants contribute positively to South Africa as well. Many foreign nationals are running small businesses, creating jobs, and paying rent and taxes. They are filling in critical roles in farming, construction, hospitality, and domestic work. In fact, if all migrants suddenly disappeared overnight, some industries would collapse. It is therefore not as simple as saying they are a burden. The truth is much more complicated. On the human rights side, South Africa has a responsibility to protect all people within its borders, regardless of nationality. This doesn't mean ignoring local struggles, but rather finding a balance where citizens and migrants are treated with dignity. Human rights organizations have been calling for reforms in the asylum process, better documentation systems, and fairer labor practices to ensure that migrants are not exploited while also protecting local workers. Of course, this issue touches emotions deeply. Many South Africans are struggling with unemployment, crime, and service delivery challenges. It can feel unfair when resources are stretched thin and migrants are also competing for them. But instead of focusing only on the migrants, the bigger question should be about governance, leadership, and how resources are managed. After all, corruption and mismanagement also play a huge role in why communities are struggling. Now, I know this is a heavy discussion, but it is one that we cannot ignore. Migration is a reality, and it's not going away anytime soon. People will always move where they see hope. The question is, how do we as a region manage it fairly and humanely, while also protecting the rights of our own citizens? That is where the real challenge lies. So, what do you think? Should South Africa tighten its borders more strictly, or should we be working with neighboring countries to find long-term solutions? Personally, I think it will take both strong border management and real regional cooperation to ease the pressure. Before we wrap up, please remember to subscribe to the channel so you can always stay updated on these important discussions. And I leave you with a light joke to ease the mood a little. You know, people say South Africans are upset because migrants are taking jobs. But if we all work together to fix our own economy, maybe we would be fighting over who gets to hire, not who gets to be hired. It's a small thought, but hey, sometimes laughter makes the truth a little easier to swallow. All images used are for illustration purposes only. Sources: News 24, Daily Maverick, Ground Up, Al Jazeera, Mail and Guardian.